everybody, and welcome to today's Sunday sermon, which is the fifth Sunday of Easter. Now today Jesus is speaking about the vine and the branches, John chapter 15. Jesus uses the imagery of the vine and its branches because he was quite used to that in his country at that time. He spoke a lot about vineyards. It bears two kinds of branches. The branch that bears fruit and the branch that doesn't bear fruit. Of course, Jesus is the main fruit, the main plant in this analogy. And we are the branches. So when the branch doesn't bear fruit, it's pruned. In other words, it's cut and it's thrown away and it withers. And later on it's burned. He says that his followers are like the branches of himself, the vine. There are three kinds of people, Jesus is saying, who become the bad branches that don't bear fruit. The Jews, number one, they fail to accept him as the Messiah. Second, he was thinking of something more general. He was thinking of Christians whose Christianity consisted of profession without practice, words without deeds, and were useless branches as a result, all leaves and no fruit. And this is more to us now, because all of us should be disciples and should be witnesses to this great message of the gospel, which is Jesus Christ as our Messiah. Then when it comes to being a real Christian and bearing fruit, which is spreading the gospel to other people, this we fail. And so we are like the branches that are dry and are cut off and pruned. The third type of person that becomes a fruitless branch is the one who is a disciple, like us, baptized, maybe those of us watching this, and they give up. When the troubles of life come, sickness, problems, relationships, financial difficulties, then they lose their faith. We are more than what we see and hear with our senses, all our senses and touch. We are more than that, and the spiritual world is a reality, in fact more a reality than the reality of what we see around us, because sometimes we see things and everybody sees something, the same thing, differently. So in other words, the real reality is the spiritual world. Supposing a person falls into temptation and degeneracy and bad living and hopeless living and feeling hopeless about life. That person can be brought back through contact with community of believers, like a church, like our churches, should be examples of encouraging people like that to come back and to follow the ways of the Lord. Another way of keeping close to Christ is through prayer and, of course, good works. And sometimes, as we do during Lent, we fast. We do works that connect us with the mystical, with the sacred, with the spiritual in our lives. We should get up in the morning, and the first thing to do is say a prayer. And a prayer can be in a second. You say, yes, God, I'm here. I invite you in. Help me today. Help me through all this day. Even if the day is you're not fearing that it's going to be challenging, but you could ask the Lord to help you through that. Jesus himself kept in contact with his Father at all times. He went away to secret places to pray, and he never lost that contact with the sacred. Even though he had taken on our human nature, he showed us the way how to do it, to be the good vine. Supposing those people who are lost have a friend who is on the right road and who can encourage them to come back and befriend the person who is lost. We're thinking of a person like Francis Thompson, who was a down and out in the streets of London, a very clever man, but he had lost his way. He had gone on drugs and he had also lost everything, no money. He was selling matches in order to feed his drug habit. He was rescued by a convert to Catholicism who took him to his home and nurtured him back to full health. So much so that he began to use his wonderful brain and wrote poetry. And the famous poem that he wrote was called The Hound of Heaven, which was about his own life. And he said that the hound of heaven is Jesus. The hound is a dog. And like nature in a dog, he will follow the rabbit or the hare or a wild animal when he sees it. Jesus is like that. He follows us until he catches us. He doesn't want to devour us like the dog might kill the rabbit or the hare. No, he wants to bring us back to safety, back to holiness, back to meaningful life and fruitful life. Finally, we must note that there are two things laid down about the good disciple. First, his contact with the sacred and with Jesus makes him a fruitful branch. And secondly, he can help others come back to Jesus, those who are lost, those who are in desperate situations, by being a friend, by being a welcoming friend, like we should in our communities. Welcome the stranger, the sinner, back to the fold. May God bless you. Have a beautiful Sunday and a wonderful week ahead. And try to be the good branch that bears good fruit.